So the next session, we're getting into something called Smarter Everything for a Brilliant Generation. And, we're starting to see, incredible smart homes. And what we're kind of most excited to see is the integration of technology for the seniors and for their caregivers that are being integrated into the home. And so when we kind of look at smart homes, we're saying, where's the crossover in this? And when are we going to start seeing, health and caregiving and other things being integrated into the smart home? And so we're kind of getting there. So I'm really excited to present to you David Taylor, who's the supervisor of telehealth services for the VNA of the Rockford area. So welcome to the stage.
All right, good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming here and seeing this. The topic today and the title is Technology Each Day Keeps the Hospital Away. I know that's kind of going off of an apple a day will keep the doctor away, but hey, we're moving along in technology, we're moving along in the world. And actually technology really can play a vital role in keeping people at home, keeping people out of the hospital, and improving their lifestyle and their life as it goes on. To quote Albert Einstein, intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. And as I say, it is all about birth. And birth has played a significant role in my life in a number of different ways. I started out as a paramedic, and I worked my way in. I've been a nurse now for almost 30 years. And as a paramedic, I had the opportunity, and some say emergent responses, to delivering a child. I've done that twice as a paramedic. But this is my daughter. And her, I did bring into this world as well, as I delivered her on December 26, 2001. And that was a day that will forever change my life, as I was the first person to ever see her face come into this world. And to see her grow and to be around for her, and I wanted to be able to be here for her for a long time, as I'm sure all of you want to be here for a long time for your family and for your friends. Technology definitely is a part of the wave of the future. And the technology that we use at the Visiting Nurses Association is what's called telehealth. And it's a monitoring system that we set up in patients' homes after they've been discharged from the hospital to try and monitor them and educate them to keep them at home so they're not going back into the hospital. Readmission rates have been escalating, and that's a huge cost burden to us, to insurance companies, to the hospitals, to families, to the individuals themselves. And to give you a little ideas to the growth and the utilization of the telehealth, this is the quality data from the Visiting Nurses Association itself. In 2009 was when we first, in 2009 was when we first purchased the monitors.
I'll put it in my
and
car.
we weren't necessarily using it in the best way. As you can see, we utilized the monitors about 63% of the time on our heart failure patients. And our readmission rate was 29.2%. And you can see the utilization started to increase slowly, and we saw that numbers were coming down. But the thing was, we weren't tapping into it the way we really could to the best of its ability. So they instituted and started a program in which they hired me to be the supervisor, and that was in 2012. You can see we had a pretty significant jump in the utilization because we had somebody that was looking over the monitors and making sure they were getting out to the patients that needed them. And you saw our readmission rates drop to 24.7%. The next year, the first full year that I was in this position, we had almost 92% utilization, and readmission rates were down to 22%. And now year to date through November, we've had 94% utilization and 19% readmission rate. I should also mention that the number of monitors has also grown. We went from 43 monitors in 2009 to actually earlier this year, we just purchased another 39 monitors, so we're now up to 82 physical monitors, and we also have 10 what we call virtual monitors, in which they can give me an alert to call a patient on a daily basis. So we actually have 92 monitors that are available, and as of this morning, we have 85 of them being out and utilized at this time. Now, it's not just the monitors. The data is great, but it's what you do with the data that has the significant impact. You need to have a collaborative effort, which we do with our cardiology group at the Rockford Memorial Hospital. So if a patient were to have an issue, I have a contact person that I will contact, call, and let them know how the patient's doing, what might be going on, and we can make adjustments to medication over the phone, or we can have them come into the clinic for IV medication to help diurese them to bring off any water weight that they might be having that could potentially cause them to have to go back into the hospital. Now, as I say, this is VNA quality data, and that data is just based on the patients that were under home care.
Okay.
We support the Rockford Memorial Hospital, and Rockford Memorial Hospital in 2012 had 25% readmission rates for our CHF patients. This is significant. Medicare started to penalize hospitals based off of what readmission rates were compared to the national average. If you were above the national average, you got penalized on your Medicare funding. In end of 2012, we implemented a heart and vascular program in which any patient that was followed by a cardiologist would receive a monitor and have the daily monitoring, the daily touches. In 2012, our readmission rates dropped to 17%. Pretty nice number. We had a stretch goal of 19%, so we beat that. For 2014, we had our goal set at 17%. We figured, okay, let's try and just maintain what we did. As through end of November, we're now at 15%. So we have made a significant impact on these people and their families to keep them out of the hospital. This is a rather busy slide talking about the readmission rates and some of the things that the hospital had tried to do. And you can see in the beginning of January 12 and throughout pretty much all of 2012, readmission rates were above the 20% line. And then you can see these drop down to 10% in November of 2012. That's whenever we implemented our telehealth program. And you can see our numbers stayed significantly lower. Now, you do have little bumps every once in a while, but like I say, overall, we're at the 15% range right now. What telehealth does is it helps to empower people. It gives them the daily touch. They can see how their lifestyle affects their life. What they're doing affects their weight, their blood pressure, things of that nature. And it also gives them the knowledge and the support that somebody's there keeping an eye on them and will help them get through whatever that case is to try and keep them out of the hospital. One of the things that patients will do after they've been on the monitor for a period of time, it's some of the best phone calls I ever get is, let me go back to initially, we'll have a number of alerts and I'm calling them and talking what's going on, what's happening. After about 3-4 weeks, they may send an alert in where they've had a 3-pound weight gain in a day. Their phone's ringing. They answer the phone. Hi, David. Been waiting for your call. They know what's happening at that point in time. They're ready to move on to the next step. They've now been empowered with what they need to know to keep themselves out of the hospital. So I educate them at that point in time to, whenever the monitor comes out, this is whenever you would be making a phone call to your physician to see what kind of changes need to be made. So again, technology has a way of helping people, educating them, empowering them so that they can now control their disease rather than their disease controlling them, which I think is pretty significant. As far as some of our major success stories, we had one gentleman I'd like to talk about who was discharged from the hospital, was under the VNA services. We monitored him for 30, 60, 90 days, take the monitor out. Usually within 2 to 3 weeks, he was back in the hospital. He'd come back out, we give him the monitor, and it was just a cyclic thing. He was always going back into the hospital. So we finally decided that this is a gentleman who needs that daily touch all the time, so we've just left the monitor in. The monitor's been in for over 2 years now, and he's had no readmission since. He's had a number of times whenever he's had his little blips where his weight's gone up from eating Chinese food, or he had chili the night before, things like that. But we've been able to modify him afterwards to keep him out of the hospital. And I have a number of other people that have had those same type situations. The Heart and Vascular Program, to run through real quick here, has had a total of 264 patients and entered into it. And the readmission rates, all cause, and when I say all cause, that means patients that were readmitted for not only CHF exacerbations, but also for maybe a planned surgical procedure, or maybe they went in because they fell and broke their leg or broke their hip. That goes under the all-cause readmissions. But patients that were readmitted because of a CHF exacerbation were under 4%. So it has shown that it can really, truly affect these people, and like I said, keep them out of the hospital, keep that strain off of them, keep that strain off of the insurance industry, keep that strain off of their families. And kind of loop all back, as I said, It's a reclaiming of life, reclaiming of their lives to normalcy, for whatever normalcy is. So that maybe at some point in time, and we can keep them out of the hospital, that they can see their granddaughter become age 13, or whatever else it is that they have in their life. And I have about 30 seconds left. I don't know if there's any quick questions, but I want to thank you again for all of your attention and time, and I hope you have a great rest of your time here.